President Bola Tinubu has issued a direct order that has sent shockwaves through Nigeria's security apparatus, demanding immediate action following the devastating attack on Kasuwan Daji market. The directive is clear and uncompromising. Find those responsible for this heinous act and bring them to justice without delay. The Minister of Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, all service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, and the Director General of the Department of State Services have been tasked with what many are calling an urgent mission to restore safety and confidence in the region. The Kasuwan Daji market attack has left communities reeling, families shattered, and an entire nation demanding answers. Reports emerging from Sokoto State paint a grim picture of violence that erupted in the early hours, transforming a bustling marketplace into a scene of chaos and tragedy. Gunmen stormed the market, opening fire indiscriminately on innocent civilians who were simply going about their daily business. The attack was not just an assault on people, but on the very fabric of community life that markets represent in Nigerian society. Eyewitnesses have described scenes that are difficult to comprehend. Traders who had arrived early to set up their stalls for the day found themselves running for their lives. The sound of gunfire echoed through the market as people scrambled for safety, many leaving behind their goods, their livelihoods, and in some tragic cases, their loved ones. The attackers did not stop at the shooting. Multiple individuals were abducted during the raid, adding another layer of anguish to an already traumatic situation. Families are now living in a state of suspended terror, not knowing whether their relatives are alive or what conditions they might be enduring. The numbers are still being confirmed, but initial reports suggest that dozens of people lost their lives in this attack. The injured have been rushed to nearby hospitals, many of which are struggling to cope with the sudden influx of patients requiring urgent medical attention. Healthcare workers have been working round the clock, doing everything in their power to save lives, but the scale of the tragedy means that resources are being stretched to their absolute limits. What makes this attack particularly disturbing is its timing and location. Kasuwan Daji is not just any market, it is a vital economic hub for the region, a place where farmers, traders, and families converge to buy and sell goods that sustain entire communities. Attacking such a space sends a message of terror that reverberates far beyond the immediate victims. It is an attempt to destabilize the social and economic foundations that hold communities together. And President Tinubu's response indicates that the government understands the gravity of this threat. The President's directive to security agencies carries significant weight by specifically naming the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, all service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, and the Director General of the Department of State Services have been tasked with what many are calling an urgent mission to restore safety and confidence in the region. The rescue mission for the abducted victims has been designated as urgent, which means that security forces are expected to deploy all available resources to locate and safely return those who were taken. This is no small task. The terrain in Sokoto State can be challenging, and those responsible for the attack likely planned their escape routes carefully. However, the combined capabilities of Nigeria's military, police, and intelligence services represent a formidable force when properly coordinated and motivated. For the families of the abducted, every moment that passes feels like an eternity. They are caught between hope and despair, praying for the safe return of their loved ones while fearing the worst. The psychological toll of such uncertainty cannot be overstated. These are mothers, fathers, children, siblings, people with dreams and aspirations who now find themselves in circumstances they never imagined. The urgency in the President's directive offers a glimmer of hope that their ordeal might soon end, but until that happens, the waiting continues. This attack also raises broader questions about security in the northwest region. Sokoto State, along with neighboring areas, has experienced periodic violence from various armed groups over recent years. The pattern of attacks on soft targets like markets, schools, and villages indicates a deliberate strategy to create fear and undermine government authority. Each attack tests the resolve of security forces and the government's commitment to protecting its citizens. President Tinubu's response to this particular incident will be watched closely, not just by Nigerians, but by observers across West Africa and beyond. The international community has begun to take notice as well. Security analysts and human rights organizations are monitoring the situation, understanding that instability in Nigeria has implications for the entire region. The country's position as Africa's most populous nation and largest economy means that what happens within its borders often has ripple effects throughout the continent. If you have been following our coverage and finding these updates valuable, this would be a great time to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss important developments like these. We work hard to bring you the latest information as events unfold, and your support through likes and subscriptions helps us continue this work. The challenge facing Nigeria's security agencies is multifaceted. They must not only track down the perpetrators of this specific attack, but also work to prevent future incidents. This requires intelligence gathering, community engagement, adequate equipment, and personnel who are properly trained and motivated. The directive from President Tinubu provides the political backing and authorization for aggressive action, but translating that into operational success on the ground requires careful planning and execution. Communities in the affected areas are calling for more than just reactive responses to attacks. They want sustained security present, economic development that provides alternatives to violence, and justice systems that hold perpetrators accountable. The cycle of attack, outrage, promises, and then gradual return to normalcy has repeated too many times, leaving people skeptical about whether real change is possible. This moment presents an opportunity for the government to demonstrate that it can break that cycle and deliver lasting security improvements. As this situation continues to develop, we will be monitoring all available sources to bring you the latest updates. The coming days will be critical as security forces pursue leads and work to locate the abducted victims. For now, the people of Sokoto State and indeed all Nigerians are watching, waiting and hoping that justice will be served and their fellow citizens will be safely returned home.